the 20-mile march. Imagine you were going to try to walk across the United States from San Diego to Maine. And there are two people who are going to do this long journey. And one has this philosophy of being, when conditions are good, they're going to go as far as possible. When the wind is at their back, when the temperatures are right. But when conditions are bad, it's 130 degrees in the desert or minus 30 degrees in the Colorado Rockies, they're going to sit down in their tent because conditions will improve and they'll be able to make it up in better conditions. But there's another person who says, I'm going to do a 20-mile march. Every single day, I'm going to get up and do a 20-mile march. And on the first day, when it's beautiful conditions, I do 20 miles, and I stop. And then I get out in the middle of the desert, and it's 130 degrees, and the last thing I want to do is get out of my tent, but I'm going to do my 20 miles, and then you march, and the conditions improve, and you hit the Colorado Rockies, and it's cold, and it's wind, and it's snow, and it's ice, and the last thing you want to do is get out of your tent, but what do? You get up, and you do your 20 miles. And you 20-mile march, and 20-mile march, and 20-mile march. Amundsen and Scott exemplified this difference. In fact, Amundsen said we're going to do 15 to 20 miles a day. Scott showed a more erratic pattern. In early December, Scott wrote in his journal about being stopped by a blizzard. I doubt if any party could travel in such weather. But when Amundsen faced conditions comparable to Scott's, he wrote in his journal, it has been an unpleasant day. Storm, drift, and frostbite, but we have advanced closer to our goal. But the fanatic discipline also. The fanatic discipline also is in the discipline to not go too far, to not overstretch, to not leave yourself exposed for when unforeseen things may hit you. Because that is stewardship also of a team. They're 45 miles from the pole, Amundsen and his team. They're strong, the systems are working well, they're fit, the conditions clear. They can make it in one giant push to the pole. They don't know where Scott is. Scott is coming in on a different angle, so for all they know, Scott's right on top of them. They don't know that he's way behind. And the team says, maybe we should push and grab the pole in one big shot, one big 45-mile day. And what did Amundsen do? He went 17 miles that day and got their rest. Why? Because if they got to the pole in that one push, and then a big unexpected storm hit, and they were exhausted and overstretched and extended, they might never make it back. Discipline, tremendous fanatic discipline. All of our 10X companies were like Amundsen with a 20-mile march. A standard of performance to hit, a marching philosophy that they had, that they would hold to even in the toughest of conditions. Think about this for a moment. If you went back to 1972 and you could invest $1 in every single major publicly traded corporation on an American major stock exchange in 1972, and then you held your shares for 30 years, and you cashed them out and you said, which produced the #1 best returns of all publicly traded stocks, who would it be? Would it be GE or Berkshire Hathaway or Intel or Walmart? And they'd all be good candidates. But the #1 best performing stock of all publicly traded stocks in the universe of publicly traded stocks from 1972 to 2002 is in a gloriously wonderful industry called airlines. Southwest Airlines. 63 times the market, and they had a 20-mile march. Their march was, no matter what, we will manage ourselves in good times so that we will do well in bad times. And we will be profitable every single year. And they were profitable for 30 consecutive, and now they're coming up on 40 consecutive years. They were profitable in 2001. And you know what hit the airline industry in 2001? And yet, in 1996, when they had 100 cities clamoring for their business, how many did they open? 4. Why? Because they got overstretched, and they overstretched their culture, and they overreached their systems, and they went too far, and then they got hit by the next storm, whatever that is. Then they might be just like all the others, in trouble. 20-mile march, 20-mile march, 20-mile march.